This is 5 on your side at 4. Focused on you.
Right now at 4, one suspect is dead, another behind bars after an attempted car theft turned deadly over the weekend in Webster Groves. Thanks for being here at 4. I'm Kay Quinn. The shots were fired in a strip mall parking lot on Laclede Station Road just after midnight Saturday. But as 5 on your side's Mercedes McKay shows us, this investigation is now catching more than one suspected criminal.
It all happened here outside of Hot Shot Sports Bar and Grill in Webster Groves early Saturday morning. What started as a possible car theft turned into much more once police arrived. A man told police he was sitting in his car when he heard glass breaking. When he got out, he saw two men wearing black ski masks running towards him. Fearing for his life, the man fired his gun, killing 19-year-old Javion Bibby. His accused accomplice, 18-year-old Ronnie Jewett, then ran towards the Afton area, where police found him quickly after. He's now charged with second-degree murder. After more evidence and interviews, Webster Groves police believe both Bibby and Jewett were a part of a larger organized auto theft crime ring that's happening across St. Louis.
Our hope is that we can deter this crime and that we will eventually be able to identify other individuals related to this organized crime. We do believe that there are several others out there, and we do have a few others that have been identified.
Right now, police say the victim of the attempted car theft who made the original 911 call has not been charged with anything at this time. They do believe that he was acting in self-defense. In Webster Groves, Mercedes McKay, 5 on your side.
Police believe this is a good lesson for the community, reminding people to hide valuables and lock up their cars. Police say most of the suspects committing these crimes are armed and dangerous. After 6 weeks on the picket line, members of the United Auto Workers Union may have a deal with General Motors. For the most part, the deal mirrors agreements reached with Ford last week and Stellantis over the weekend. It will last 4 years and 8 months. And includes a 25% general pay raise and cost of living adjustment. Combined, they increase workers' wages by 30% over the life of the contract. 5 on your side's Justina Coronel will have more from the GM plant in Wentzville coming up on 5 on your side at 5. Well, tomorrow, kids across the country will be going trick-or-treating and across the bi-state, but it feels like we should be sipping on some hot cocoa instead. Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell here with the Weather First forecast.
Yeah, the cold air certainly did rush in here Friday evening and yesterday, Saturday, cold weather. This morning, our first freeze for many areas. And the hard freeze tonight is east and southeast of St. Louis. Areas that didn't see as cold of weather early this morning will drop into the 20s. And that does include even the metro area and certainly across southeast Missouri and southern portions of Illinois. That's where the freeze warning is in effect. Here are your lows from this morning. We were mostly in the low 30s, although west of St. Louis, we had some spots down into the upper 20s, which includes places like Warrenton and Union as well. Looking at this point at temperatures across the region, Columbia and Springfield and Kirksville are still in the 30s. Folks there were dealing with clouds. We've seen some of those clouds slide into St. Louis too. The cold air continues to settle over the region and gets reinforced across the area tomorrow. So tomorrow night into Wednesday morning will actually be the coldest morning that we deal with, not only since spring, since March, but the coldest we're going to deal with probably for another 10 days or 2 weeks. The next 2 days, morning low temperatures will be in the 20s. The record low Wednesday morning, and we'll challenge it, is 26. It will be milder by the end of the week, Kay.
Okay, thank you, Scott. 2 crashes happened overnight in South St. Louis, causing thousands of dollars worth of damage combined. One of the crashes happened around 1 in the morning. 5 on your side has ring camera footage. The vehicle sideswiped several cars along Arkansas before it flipped. The driver wasn't hurt, but one of the owners of a parked car that was damaged says he and his wife were in bed when they heard a crash that sounded like something hit their house.
Yeah, we had to come outside to see what it was because it couldn't tell if something had hit the house or if something had, happened out. We just couldn't tell what it was. It was a loud smash, loud boom. And then we, like I said, once we saw the camera and saw it out the window, we noticed.
And just an hour before, a few miles down the road, there was a crash on Nebraska at Chippewa. A blue pickup truck lost control and smashed into the corner of a building. The drivers in both crashes survived. St. Louis County Prosecutor Wesley Bell announced he's ditching a run for the Senate for a chance for a seat in Congress. He's pitting himself against fellow Democrat Cori Bush. Bell is running to represent St. Louis City and most of northern St. Louis County. This puts Bell on more comfortable footing in the Republican-dominated state. Bell says he wants to provide active leadership to the 1st District of Missouri.
As a prosecutor, I have to look at the law and I have to make the right decisions. And when I look at the infrastructure bills, when I look at working with other community partners, that's the way we've been able to be successful in St. Louis County, and we need more of that in Washington, D.C. as well.
Congresswoman Cori Bush said it was disheartening to hear about Bell abandoning his Senate campaign. She says she'll remain laser-focused on a pro-St. Louis agenda in her campaign, no matter who enters the race. Israel expanded its ground invasion into Gaza, calling it the second stage of the war with Hamas. Calls continue for more humanitarian aid as civilians are caught in the crossfire. NBC's Alice Barr reports.
An escalating conflict in the Middle East is now a ground war, with Israel's forces pushing deeper into the Gaza Strip and today managing to rescue a hostage, a young female Israeli soldier from Hamas control. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu facing plummeting approval ratings at home and international pressure to relieve the suffering of Palestinian civilians, forcefully pushing back.
Calls for a ceasefire are calls for Israel to surrender to Hamas, to surrender to terrorism, to surrender to barbarism. That will not happen.
As Israel continues its relentless airstrikes, Netanyahu blaming Hamas for using civilians as human shields, while the U.S. State Department zeroes in on humanitarian shipments into Gaza, noting Israel restored phone and internet service under pressure from the U.S.
It is about ensuring that vital information flows, humanitarian coordination continues, and families can stay in touch.
The war is touching off new security concerns here in the U.S. and a sharp uptick in hate crimes, with Muslim leaders reporting more than 800 complaints since the beginning of October, while the Anti-Defamation League reports a nearly 400% increase in anti-Semitic acts from the same time last year.
What we're seeing today in America, it's not just the war on Israel, it is a war on all Jewish people.
With Cornell and George Washington universities both looking into incidents involving anti-Semitism, the Biden administration today announcing new steps to combat anti-Semitism and Islamophobia on college campuses. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
A new presidential poll is out. Who's moving up in the Republican race for the White House? It's been called inhumane. Why the Biden administration's effort to remove razor wire from the U.S.-Mexico border is being shut down in court.